So as promised, this is going to be part 2 of the Z Fold 4 full review. Last part, we actually covered design, display, and software. So if you don't catch part 1 and you're trying to skip over here to part 2, you are definitely doing yourself a disservice. I'll leave a link in the description down for part 1. Go back and watch that first, just in case there's any context given in part 2. You don't want to miss part 1, so that way you'll have that full context. But with that being said, let's get into it. This is part 2 of the Galaxy Z Fold 4 full review. First things first, get it right out of the way. I don't think that there's a more versatile device, mobile device, currently on the market than the Z Fold 4. And it may not be the best in every single category. Surface Duo 2 is better at 2 apps at one time, not necessarily multitasking, but better at running 2 apps specifically at one time. Xiaomi Mix 2 has lighter hardware, so it's not as heavy to carry. Vivo X Fold has that periscope lens that no other foldable has currently. So while it may not be the best in every single category, when I look at the Fold from an all-around perspective, meaning we look at all the hardware, all the software, all the features, all the software update support, all of that good stuff, I don't think that there's a foldable more versatile than the Fold 4. Now, let me go ahead and break down exactly why I think that, right? So first things first, I was working on like a little test project. Y'all know I'm still getting used to LumaFusion. I did go ahead and purchase and download that. So I am still getting used to LumaFusion. So I said, you know what? Let me put my money where my mouth is and show off that versatility a little bit. So I actually shot the video here on the Fold 4, was able to drop it into LumaFusion. I have S Pen, native S Pen support, so I'm able to fine tune those little precision little areas and look at the amount of screen real estate I have for LumaFusion. Because yes, I could have edited it on the S22 Ultra with S Pen support, but you're not getting a display or a canvas this big to work on. And then when I'm done this project, if I wanted to say upload it to YouTube, I could do that all from the phone. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, oh, well, I could do that on any other phone. Yeah, you definitely could, right? But at the end of the day, the fact that you have that native S Pen support for, pinpoint precision edits and things like that, taking footage directly from the phone, uploading it directly to YouTube. And then to take it a step even further, if I wanted an even bigger canvas than this, well, I could use wireless decks, bring up LumaFusion, and then I got a full-blown desktop class, video editing suite that I can have on, say, a 32-inch monitor or something of that nature. So that's just one of the examples of versatility, right? Being able to do things like flex mode, where I can prop the device up on itself to actually say watch content, or maybe I want to use those rear facing cameras. I can just prop this device up without needing a tripod. Things like that just go to show how versatile this device really is, right? All foldables can obviously use the front cover screen as the viewfinder and then use those rear facing cameras, to take video and photos. But you got a whole blown tripod that you can use here that you don't have to worry about, bringing a tripod out or those spur of the moment kind of situations. I had a photo session with family last year and I didn't bring a tripod. I had my Z Fold 3, so I just propped my Z Fold 3 up in flex mode and I was able to use my Galaxy Watch as the viewfinder to take the picture. Picture came out great, right? So little situations like that, I just feel like overall the Z Fold 4 is so versatile. I can link up, an external controller and not only play my emulators, right? But also I can have an emulator on the bottom and YouTube on the top. I think I even have an instance of that. So just like that, I'll go ahead and hit continue here, hook up an external controller. I'm playing Pokemon down here at the bottom while also keeping up with the homies over at open mic night on a Friday night. That type of versatility, in my opinion, is what takes, this device and other foldables that can do this as well, to another level, right? I just think that this is overall the most versatile just because you have the additional things like the S Pen and Samsung Dex and then the whole ecosystem with your Galaxy Watch and all that other stuff. So, like I said, from a versatility standpoint, I don't think that there's anything else on the market that is quite this versatile. It may not be the absolute best at every single category, but when I'm looking at it from an overall perspective, I'm really liking what Samsung is doing with the Z Fold 4's versatility. Now let's go ahead, switch gears, and talk battery. Talk battery, battery, battery. Now let me preface this by saying as well, if you're someone who is heavy on your phone, or you're on your phone all day, on social media all day, trying to play Genshin Impact, you're out using the camera all day, just like any other phone, you're gonna run through that battery. Now, even on my toughest day on the device, where I ran, my Zoom call from work, I had Teams pulled up, and I still had Twitter pulled up. So 3 applications at one time. And I literally ran that until the phone died. I still ended up with about 5 hours and 45 minutes of screen on time, and the phone lasted me that entire work shift. Didn't last me the entire day, but it lasted me the entire work shift. That's good in my opinion. To give a little bit of background about my usage, generally I take my phone off the charger between 8 and 9 in the morning. 9 is when I start work, and I leave the phone off the charger the entire day. I don't top off, throughout the middle of the day or any of that. And on a normal day, I can make it through an entire full day, not a full work day, but a full day, meaning I won't have to put the phone back on the charger until I'm about to go to bed at like 10 or 11 that night. So generally, even when I'm doing that on a normal day, I'm ending the day with about 7 to 10%. So it is barely making it, but the fact that an 8-inch display, tablet slash one-handed phone hybrid can get me through an entire day consistently, I am good with that. That is good battery life in my opinion. Now again, it is not the best, because when you come to a foldable, your battery life is not going to be as good as what you're used to from a traditional slab. It's just not going to happen in my opinion, and in my usage. It hasn't been. No foldable has, right? So from a battery perspective, I think the Z Fold 4 is fine. Again, if you're somebody who is heavy on your phone, where you're on it all day, whatever the case may be, you're either going to need to bring a battery bank, or you're going to have to make sure that you are ready to top off the phone at lunchtime, or whatever the case may be. For someone like me, I have no issues with making it through a full day. That's going to cover pretty much what I wanted to cover in terms of battery. Like I said, in terms of screen on time, I'm averaging anywhere between, say, I would say 5 hours if I'm going really hard on the cameras, using it out at Disney for like GPS and things like that. 5 hours, and then the most I've ever gotten is about 6 hours and 50 minutes, somewhere around there, so almost 7 hours. So generally, consistently, my average is about 6 hours of screen on time. I think that that's a fair, estimate and a fair testament, especially for what this device is. You always have to look at context. You can't look at battery life for this phone the same way you would look at battery life for the S22 Ultra or a Pixel 7 Pro. You just can't look at battery life the same. This display is a higher resolution and also pushing a ton more pixels than those devices are, with a smaller battery. So just the fact that I can get through a full day with this device at all is literally a miracle to me, in my opinion. So like I said, your mileage will always vary depending on what applications you use, but just use common sense. If you're in the camera all day or playing Genshin Impact all day, yes, you're going to be topping off the battery. If you're using it for GPS for your morning commute and it's not on a charger in your car, yes, you're going to blow through your battery. But if you use it like a normal phone, you will be fine. You will get a full day, no problem. And then the last area I wanted to cover are them cameras. So you heard me say before, when you're moving into a foldable, there's honestly two areas that you're going to notice right away. Is just, with its current implementation and the current technology available, it's not going to be as good as a slab. Those two areas are battery life, which we already covered, and the cameras. Now, that's not to say that the cameras are bad. These cameras are great, especially for being on a foldable. In terms of the 3x optical, the main lens, and the ultra wide, I prefer the shots coming out of this device than I did my Vivo X Fold. I only hold the Vivo X Fold's camera slightly higher because it has that built-in periscope lens, which the Z Fold still does not have. Now, 3x is still absolutely fantastic. I think it might even be the best 3x I've ever used on any smartphone, even the S22 Ultra. Main camera shots are more than capable of hanging there with the best of them. When I say the best of them, I mean your S22 Ultra, your Pixel 7 Pro, obviously the iPhone 14 Pro Max, your Xiaomi's and all of that. While it may not beat them in every single condition, just the fact that this main lens is even in competition with those phones is just a testament to how good the cameras actually are for this device. So if you're not someone who uses a ton of zoom, this is going to suit you well, no problem. The 3x is perfectly fine. You can push it to 10x and get some good usable photos, but that's about the, extent to where I personally would push this camera, right? In terms of kind of where I want to see Samsung go with it. So I know that everything with the Fold is a constant battle with physics, right? Trying to squeeze in as many, components and high quality camera sensors and batteries and S Pens. All of that stuff is literally fighting with physics, so it's really hard for Samsung to do it in its current size. But next year for Fold 5, Samsung, we gotta see a periscope zoom on this bad boy. We have to. The processing and camera performance on the other lenses are more than capable and more than good currently. We gotta see periscope on this smartphone next year. But just in terms of general, smartphone output, camera output, and normal lighting conditions, this is gonna be a phenomenal camera for you to use. Absolutely phenomenal. Only area you're really gonna notice a difference, especially if you're coming from like a premium flagship camera experience, is going to be that zoom. And when you get to like those lower lighting situations where those sensor sizes on those other phones just drastically outclass what Samsung has here on the Fold 4. But just in your normal situations, you're going to be perfectly fine and well suited with the camera on the Fold 4. So that was a look at the Fold 4, the full review, and I'll just kind of close it out with just these thoughts. I think that there's only really one solution that Samsung has when it comes to their foldable line, and the solution already exists in their normal S line of smartphones. So with the S line, with the S series, we have the S22, which I want you to think of Z Flip as the S22. We have the S22 Plus, which I think you should look at Fold 4 as S22 Plus. Then we got S22 Ultra. I'm sure by now you can see where I'm going with this. We need a Fold 5 Ultra, Samsung. We need a Fold 5 Ultra. And the reason why I say that is because right now Samsung has an internal battle with themselves where they're trying to do two different, completely opposite things are being pulled in two opposite directions. They want to appeal to the masses because if Apple has shown, all of us in the industry how this works, when you appeal to the masses, you sell more units, which in the end, these are businesses. They want to sell devices. When you appeal to the masses, you sell more units. You don't have to have the best phone, but if you can appeal to the masses, you are going to sell. So you have that one end of the spectrum, and then you have the other end of the spectrum where Samsung's trying to appeal to us tech enthusiasts who want the biggest batteries. We want the S Pens built in. We want the best camera sensors and periscope zooms and all of this other stuff. It's a really hard tug of war to balance that. So what I'm telling you, Samsung, if you ever somehow catch this video, stop trying to balance that. It is not an act that you can balance. It's not possible. So instead of trying to balance it, give us a Fold 5 Ultra. Come out with the normal Fold 5, which is going to be kind of like the predecessor, or not the predecessor, but the sequel to this device with just incremental changes, just incremental changes to, battery, cameras, and software and stuff like that. You drop that price down to say $1,400 or $1,500, and then you come out with a Fold 5 Ultra that has everything that we've been asking for, a little bit wider front cover, S Pen being built in, 5,000 milliamp hour battery, periscope zoom camera, all of that stuff. You know what I mean? Come out with that device at your normal $1,799 or $1,800 price point. That way, everybody wins. You can appeal to the masses with your trade-in programs and discounts. You'll obviously sell a lot of those traditional Fold 5s and Z Flip 5s. Then for your tech enthusiasts, the same people, who buy your S22 Ultras and all of that, they have a Fold 5 Ultra that they can spend that additional $300 or $350 on. I'm telling you, you come out with a Fold 5 Ultra that has all of that, you're setting yourself up for success because you already have a super compelling foldable here that a lot of general users are really interested in. Bring the price down on your traditional Fold and come out with the Fold 5 Ultra. You will not miss. Samsung, that's my only solution to the problem, my only feedback in that regard. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. I did switch things up and do a two-parter for the review. So let me know in the comment section if you like this style where I get as detailed as possible, talk about as much as possible with the device, or if you like the traditional 10 to 15, kind of squeeze in the highlights and the bullet points for a device. Let me know what you guys think about it. As always, this is Ike's Tech Talk. I will catch you all in the next video. Peace.